Hey guys, Sven here, and welcome back to another guitar playthrough video. I am a little late with this one, I do apologise for that, but unfortunately I did have a death in the family and I needed some time to let that sink in and process it all before I could move on to other things such as this. So the song for this video is the opening track of Segression's third album, Smile. This song has been requested a hell of a lot over the years. It was the beginning of 2020, at the very start of the pandemic lockdowns, that a great supporter of the band, Mikey from Bunbury in Western Australia, sent me a message asking me if certain things about the songs, how the riffs went. And I said, well, hey, I've been forced out of work, I've got the time, I'll videotape myself playing it for you and send it over to you. For one reason or another, that never happened, but I'm glad to say it's happening right now. So Mikey, this one's for you. So the song, Dr. A Height, is one of the first songs that was written for the Smile album after the lineup changed from the previous album. I recently found the 8-track recording of the song when I originally wrote it back in 1999, and I was amazed how vastly different it was to the version that ended up on the album. And that's why I was really keen to try and incorporate some of those original ideas I had from the demo that I wasn't able to get on the studio album version. But one day I might actually upload the original way I wrote the music for this song, give you an idea of how different these two versions are to each other. So this song originally was recorded on 7-string guitars. This time I'm doing it again on a 6-string guitar and also tuned to C standard. So without further ado, let's dive into the song. Let's break all these riffs down. Like in all the other videos, even though we're tuned to C standard, if I hit the low string, I'm still going to call that E and not C, just to save confusion. So the song starts out with a sort of keyboard, distorted synth sort of sound. I did use it on the first video, Internal Thought Flow, but I didn't really run over it too much in terms of how I achieved the sound. But because I'm using it in this video, I will explain that. I managed to get that sound through one particular very old guitar effects rack. Used it running through a Marshall JCM 800 amp. Now, whenever we toured anywhere, I went with 2 amps. One for my distorted guitar and my lead sounds, and then this other amp just for this particular sound. I don't know what it was about this amp, it just made this particular effect sound awesome. Anyway, when the band went on hiatus, I thought, well, I'm out of work, I need some money. You know, if the band ever gets back together again, I'll just go and buy another Marshall head. So I sold that amp. The band did get back together, and then after the Never Dead album, I rejoined, and then I realized that I couldn't achieve the same sound. I even borrowed another Marshall JCM 800 head and still could not achieve the sound that I got on all the other albums. So I just had to make do with the other amps that I had, that I used it with. It just never sounded the same though. So I've pulled apart my live rig now and it's all sitting permanently in the studio. And I actually don't mind the sound that I've achieved in this recording to get back to that sort of keyboard sound. It's not the same, but it's close enough. So it'll give you a pretty good idea of how it sounds. So the song begins with basically 3 chromatic notes. It's the B on the 2nd string on the 12th fret, and then B flat, and then the C, and then back to the B again. That's all it is. So when I do it, I actually use a volume pedal to make it swirl in to begin, so it has a bit more of a sort of eerie, moody effect. So they are the main notes, B, B flat, and C. It starts off just single notes and it runs through that progression twice, and then it goes to the octave. So the 9th fret on the 4th string, and then again, the 12th fret, 2nd string. And then when the drums come in, I'm basically doing 3 octaves across all the neck. So 7th fret, low string, 9th fret, 4th string, and 12th fret, 2nd string. That sounds like this. So when the drums do come in and I'm hitting all 3 B octave notes, I am actually hitting across all the strings, but the way I've placed my hands, the 5th and the 3rd strings, they're not really coming out as a note. It's just because they're muted with my left hand. So it just adds to a percussive sort of sound, but the only notes that are ringing are the Bs. So underneath that guitar keyboard sound at the beginning, the bass and the other guitar do a bit of a pedal from the low E to the B, sounding like this. Played slowly. That just continues through. Then it changes up a little bit and it goes from the C to the B and to the E, all while there's a couple of E's thrown in between the B and the C. I'll play it slowly for you. And that's the progression. Up to speed, sounds like this. And then it goes into the main riff. And the main riff is those same notes that are at the very beginning with the keyboard sound, the B flat, and the C, but we're playing it all on the low string and pedaling off the low E. So it sounds like this. Up to speed. So then the riff changes up a little bit. It goes into power chords and a couple of little pull-offs, but I'll play it slowly for you first and then up to speed again. Up to speed. So it might be a little bit hard to work out exactly what I'm doing in terms of that pull off from that chord. So I'll do it in single note form, just to give you a better understanding of how it's done. So obviously done with chords, so it sounds a little more full. So then we move on to the verse riff. Now, all three verses in this song are based off the same notes, F sharp, G, and E. They're just all played a little bit differently as the song progresses. So it starts off in single note form, but as the song gets towards the end, we're building up to power chords. But the first verse has two different sort of variations of that riff. I'll play it slowly all the way through, so you get the idea. So that octave slide at the end is just a 4th fret, 4th string, moving up to the 5th fret, 4th string in an octave shape. Then we move to the second verse. Now there are 3 versions of that initial riff that's in the first verse in the second. The very last one is just basically a power chord version of it. So I'll play it all a little bit slowly for you so you can see it. So after the verse, we go to the midsection. Now I'm going to try and explain this as best as I can. It's a little unusual. There is a repetitive note throughout the whole riff, and that is the A on the 7th fret, 4th string. This one. So it starts with that note as an octave and the 10th fret, 2nd string, and then goes to the chord, which is basically a G power chord, G 5th power chord. But then we add that A as well, extending it up. So it's kind of like a G suspended second. But together it sounds back to the octave again. And then the next chord is kind of like a B flat 3rd, but it has that A again. And then the chord after that is an A minor 3rd power chord. But then it also has the high A as well. All together. Then it ends on the A octave and then does the B flat and the A 3rd in a real sort of percussive right hand way. Together. Then the riff after that is same notes again, but it is very right, heavy, sort of like a slappy, real funky sort of style. I'll play it slowly for you. That's probably the best way you're going to sort of see how I'm doing it. So in that part, the guitar is doing a bit of an octave slide from the A to the A sharp up to the C, like. So the one guitar does that. The other guitar just continues playing the. So during that riff, I wasn't too concerned about what the right hand was doing and those percussive parts to be right in sync with the other guitar. Because when they're out that little bit, it sort of gives it that bit of a DJ scratch. And that was kind of the effect I was after. But it's the next riff where the guitars really do lock in with each other, especially that percussive, funky slap thing that the right hand does. There are no drums over that section, like there are no drum hits. So the guitars really come out during there. So I really wanted it to lock in. So I'll play the riff slowly and then I'll speed it up for you and break it down. So it's an octave slide from the A to the G and then back to the A again. And then we go to power chords, but from the G to the F to the G again, all together. After the second octave slide, we go to the B flat third, then the A third, and then back to the G sus2. So that note, that A, is constantly in every single chord. And you're always going back to it with the octave. So I'll play it up to speed. And then it goes back into the part before it. And then it goes into the third verse, which again is 3 different versions of that initial riff. I'll play it all the way through. So all of those riffs that I showed you earlier are in that third verse. They're just sort of paired a little bit differently. And then it goes into the intro riff again. And the final riff is just another inversion of that again, but it's just constant notes. Played like this. I'll play it slower for you. And just at the end there, that distorted synthesized guitar sound just plays those same notes over at the end just to end out the song. So there you have it, all the riffs to Dr. A Hype broken down for you. It is a little bit more of an unorthodox song in terms of timing and a lot to do with the right hand compared to the other songs that I've already featured on this channel. But if you do have any questions, if you're something that you can't quite get or that's something that you may have missed, please feel free to ask a question below in the comments section and I will get back to you. It's just I'm not the best teacher, I'm just trying to help out as much as I can in terms of how these songs are done. So the song for the next video will be off Segression's 2002 self-titled album. But until then, thank you again for tuning in. It really does mean a lot to me for you guys coming and checking out the content on this channel. But until then, stay safe, and as always, stay heavy.